We're not always on time, but we are here on WRCR. John Stanko and Kevin Bartnett. This is the BS Report here on a Tuesday evening from the Dungeon of La Penta. It's the end of a beautiful day in New York.
Beautiful, one of the best.
Beautiful day. The weather was perfect, and it was the perfect setting for the opening of NFL free agency, which will be the topic basically of our whole entire show today.
And it made up for last night's debacle, you could say, of a MAC championship game for us.
Let's not remind me, since I saw both teams lose in Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah, I know. The women, too, especially. That'd be... well, we'll get into that later, I guess, at the end of the show, the very end of the show.
Let's stick to the happiness of the NFL free agency. Let's stick to the happiness of that. A lot of players making a lot of money, a lot of agents making a lot of money, and Adam Schefter's Twitter has exploded.
Yes, I mean, he was tweeting on the NFL Insider show today. Like, you see him actually tweeting.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
He is the king of all this, honestly. I mean, he, literally stole Chris Mortensen's job when he first came to ESPN, so... I mean, there were definitely some high-profile signings today. The Cleveland Browns made a couple of moves, Carlos Dansby and Dante Whitner. But I think the biggest signing of the day was T.J. Ward to Denver.
You think T.J. Ward to Denver? Why is that the biggest move for you?
Because Denver. I mean, they don't have really too many holes on offense. They don't really have too many holes on offense. So the problem was the defense for the most part last year. They got lit up by a Seattle offense in the Super Bowl. Like, it was good, but not that great, you know. And secondary was always a concern for them. And T.J. Ward, a hard hitter, real big intimidator.
That's what they need. Wasn't it Bob Sanders, who used to play safety for Indianapolis, was a hard hitter?
Yeah, but he was only 5'9", but he was still a really good hitter.
But he hit hard.
T.J. Ward, a huge pickup for that defense. Another important move, I think, that maybe can help a team out, certainly, is even though San Francisco lost Dante Whitner, I thought they upgraded when they signed Antoine Bethea, the longtime Indianapolis Colt, to play safety. That's a very good pickup for them.
Also, you got to look at, big things that stuck out to me was two premier defensive ends were dropped by their teams, respectively. Julius Peppers dropped by Chicago. People were expecting that when Chicago wanted to save some cap space. But DeMarcus Ware dropped by the Dallas Cowboys. He was hampered with injuries last year, but he's still a premier pass rusher from the outside. Now two Pro Bowl defensive ends are out on the market for teams to bid on.
I would say, honestly, the Denver Broncos are a team to look out for, I think. The Denver Broncos, I think, right now, if you're a defensive player, are like a prime team. If you're an offensive player, you're probably not going to play on Denver if you're a free agent, because they are kind of set there, essentially. But when it comes to defense, they have a lot of holes to fill on defense. And, big-time guys, Altron Werner, probably the best corner on the market, is looking to Denver. T.J. Ward has signed with the Broncos already. And I've heard DeMarcus Ware is very interested in the Broncos as well, as may Julius Peppers maybe. I think Ware makes a little more sense because the Broncos do run kind of a hybrid 3-4 defense. So they rotate between 3-4 and a 4-3. So I think it makes more sense if you get DeMarcus Ware, who can play in both schemes and don't play well. So, but I say watch out for them. Watch out for any prime contending team because those guys, they're on the other side of 30. So they're going to want to go to contending teams at the end of their careers.
Exactly. You got to look at, according to Ian Rapport, 6 playoff teams are already interested in DeMarcus Ware. So 6 of the 8 playoff teams last year.
You could probably name a couple just like that. Definitely Denver. I'd say New England will definitely be in on DeMarcus Ware. San Francisco is going to take a deep, hard look. The problem was San Francisco. He's going to have to take a pay cut to play for them.
The thing is that Dallas offered him a pay cut and he didn't accept it.
Well, see, the thing is, Dallas is also not a playoff team.
Super Bowl contending team.
They're not. They have the talent to be one, but as a side note, with Dallas, they also released Miles Austin today as well.
I'm not surprised about that one.
Long-time Cowboy, but he Terrence Williams is a good young player. Just take a spot.
Miles Austin will be a 4th wide receiver on some team. But I don't, or maybe if he goes to a team, he really dropped off the past 2 seasons. Yeah, really dropped off.
But you know what I can also I can see Eric Decker getting that contract, and then him going to Denver and kind of taking Eric Decker's place.
You really think so?
I could see it, honestly. Denver is going to be the biggest, I think, commodity for free agents because people are going to want to go there. Seattle's already loaded up. They're not going to really get it. I think Seattle's interested in trying to retain Golden Tate. They're bringing Jermichael Finley in for a visit, I know, but they're not doing. They made a huge signing yesterday, re-signing Michael Bennett.
Yes, they did.
Big signing.
Massive signing.
And he was a huge key cognitive to that defense. And I think that unless you're like a wide receiver, I mean, they don't need any more running backs. They got Marshawn Lynch. Their offensive line is set in Seattle, and Russell Wilson, obviously. So unless you're really like a receiver, tight end, you're not. Seattle is not very is not a place where many free agents will go.
I think another one you gotta look at. This was a re-signing, but I think Eugene Monroe, 5 years, $37.5 million deal to stay in Baltimore.
That's a little bit less than what Brandon Albert got actually in Miami.
So I think that's a great signing by Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean he re-signed with them. It was a great trade for Baltimore. I don't know what they do with their money. They're very odd with their money. They gave a nice contract to Dennis Pitta when he only played in 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. And then they gave Flacco all that money after he led them to the Super Bowl run.
Because he's elite.
I think Flacco, he definitely deserved to get a big payday, just not that much money.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have given him $40 million less than what they gave him, but that's me. The Ravens, I mean, obviously very talented team, but I think they know Ozzie Newsome's one of the better GMs of football, so we'll see what direction he goes in with this free agency. I don't think it's as attractive as it used to be, Baltimore, but hey, you never know. If they draft some good players, maybe it will be once again. But what about your New England Patriots? It's not looking good with Julian Edelman right now.
Julian Edelman, they cannot agree on a contract before 4, so Edelman is going to test the free agent market. Now, talks are not going to be cut off. They're still going to communicate, but it obviously diminishes the Patriots' chances of re-signing him. And I'll tell you right now, if he leaves back-to-back years, you lose your top slot wide receiver, your top wide receiver, frankly, back-to-back years. And also, Aaron Dobson just went under a fractured foot surgery, so he's out for 2 to 3 months. Won't even touch the field for 2 to 3 months. So the wide receiver core for New England, they needed to improve. They haven't improved it thus far, and with Edelman possibly leaving now, disaster for the Patriots may be looming on the offensive end.
And Rob Gronkowski hurt as well.
Rob Gronkowski's always hurt.
So I think that the Patriots, you know what you have to do when the draft comes up.
Yeah.
You know what you have to do there.
The thing is that one of the big areas we want to improve is cornerback, and we're looking at Alshon Werner, which I think would be a huge signing. If we can get him and Talib, get them both, get the 2 corners locked up, I think that'd be absolutely great, and then we could look at wide receiver in the draft.
I think that with them, though, that shouldn't be their biggest need, because you play in a division where exactly they're not the best passers in the world. I mean, like, Tannehill's a good quarterback.
We have to get at least one elite cornerback, though. At least one.
You got to get at least one. I think, though, with the division you play in, I mean, you only play Peyton Manning once at most twice a year. But, like, you play the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins. Teams aren't exactly the Broncos and Patriots and the Packers when it comes to throwing the football. So I think that you should put more emphasis on putting points on the board, because those defenses are a lot better than what they normally are now in your division. So I look at big divisional foes, honestly, than when it comes to stuff like that. Like when you look at your needs, honestly.
Well, I think Patriots are also interested in the Darrelle Revis. Looking to be shopped by Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, I think, is going to trade him, though, because I've heard that Oakland and Cleveland are severely interested and will pay him the $16 million. What I don't get, though, is why would you give up a first-round pick and keep him for only 1 year?
Yeah, that's why I don't understand either.
That huge contract.
That's what I don't understand.
And he was very good last year.
Darrelle Revis? He was fantastic.
It's not like he was a bum. Like when they got, he was a great player last year. He was like came in second for comeback player of the year. So I don't know what they're thinking, honestly. I mean, maybe he's not a scheme fit, but I think Darrelle Revis, when you say, okay, cover that guy, he just does it.
He does it better than anyone else. It's you can argue Richard Sherman and Darrelle Revis, top 2 cornerbacks in the NFL.
That's honestly Darrelle Revis' job. Rex Ryan says, hey, cover that guy. Imagine if he goes back to the Jets.
That's been talked about. He'd go back to the Jets.
That'd be a little odd, though, but that would be great for them, because then they just cut Antonio Cromartie and Santonio Holmes.
Yes.
I was surprised about Cromartie. I can't believe
Cromartie, though, if you look at the free agent list for a lot of websites, he's low on the rankings. He's saying that he's not going to generate a lot of interest from a lot of teams.
I mean, he is getting up there in age. He's probably not fast. He used to be. Santonio Holmes, I'd be shocked if he signs anywhere. Actually,
you really be shocked. I think someone will give him a shot, but for a really, really cheap price.
He's not getting a big contract whatsoever.
No way, Jose.
He has terrible character concerns.
Same with Antonio Cromartie.
But the only thing is, Holmes' production was horrible the last 2 seasons.
Granted, he didn't have a quarterback throwing him the ball.
He was horrible the last 2 seasons, though. Cromartie was very good 2 years ago, and then last year he wasn't as good, but 2 years ago, Cromartie was one of the best corners in football. So I think Cromartie will definitely get a team. Maybe Cromartie will go out to Denver and maybe play with his cousin.
Maybe.
I keep bringing up Denver, I know, but
Well, Denver's also interested in Jared Allen, another pass rusher.
It's a viable option though for these defenders to go to.
Because you know you're going to play a lot.
You know you're going to play a lot, and they need defenders right now.
Dumerville is on that team as well. I mean, if that defense gets shored up.
Dumerville is actually on Baltimore.
Oh wait, who's the one on?
Von Miller.
Von Miller. There you go. Dumerville was on Denver. Then the whole fax machine. Yeah, the whole fax machine thing didn't work.
And then they cut him.
That's right. So that's right. Von Miller is on Denver. But imagine that pass rush. If you can get a Jared Allen in there or a DeMarcus Ware or Julius Peppers to go alongside Von Miller, that's an elite pass rush to go with TJ Ward, now safety for you guys, and with the most dynamic offense in football.
Yes. I haven't heard not much on the wide receiver rumor mill today, honestly.
No, I didn't hear anything about Akeem Nicks, really. I didn't hear really anything about Eric Decker.
Nothing about Golden. I heard Golden Tate, nothing really about him. The biggest news I've heard all day was Edelman is visiting the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that Jacoby Jones will be visiting my New York Giants. But other than that,
well, you tweeted out today, I am very happy what the New York Giants are doing thus far in free agency.
I mean, when I first heard that they gave out a contract to O'Brien Sheffield, I don't even know who he is. Mm-hmm. But he was apparently a situational pass rusher for the Seahawks, and they gave him $4 million per year. Mm-hmm. So I mean, he must have some kind of talent. I was very thrilled with the Jeff Schwartz signing, though. Mm-hmm. Jeff Schwartz apparently is the best guard on the market. I mean, the contract that John Ansamoah got from Atlanta, maybe say otherwise, his teammate in Kansas City last year. But Jeff Schwartz was the 8th best rated guard in football last year. That's a huge signing for the New York Giants, I think. There's the guards. I mean, the offensive line was so bad last year. They are cutting David Boss. What's big for the Giants, Chris Snead took a pay cut. Chris Snead took a very sizable pay cut because he knew, hey, it's either the Giants or nobody. He wants to keep playing. I don't think he'll be a starter anymore. I think that right now they're going to stay with the same in tackles, but apparently the Giants and Evan Dietrich Smith are they're talking to Evan Dietrich Smith, even though he will be visiting Tampa Bay, the Packers center. Mm-hmm. And if not, then they're also talking to Brian De La Puente, who was the Saints center the past couple of years.
Well, I think most important for you New York Giants, you signed a running back, Rashad Jennings. I think that's a phenomenal signing. I'm shocked that Oakland didn't sign him and they re-signed Darren McFadden for a year. I don't understand it.
I mean, Rashad Jennings was excellent for the Raiders.
Oh, he was excellent.
Against they had the worst. I mean, the Giants had a bad offensive line, great. The Raiders had the
worst offensive line. I don't understand Oakland. Why would you re-sign Darren McFadden, injury prone, for one more year? Not even long term, 1 year. For I think it was $4 million.
I mean, are we really surprised though?
No, but it boggles my mind. Rashad Jennings is younger. He stayed healthy and he produced for you.
Yeah,
and I think it's a phenomenal signing for the Giants.
I don't know if he's the answer, but I think if
he's an automatic upgrade.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this would be a great if David Wilson were somehow to come back and be the David Wilson that we wanted him to be. Mm-hmm. The pass catching running back out of the backfield, the guy who can hits the hole and then he'll go 40 yards for a touchdown. If he could be that guy, this is an even better signing. That there have not been signs of that though. The Giants also re-signed Peyton Hillis today. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know what 2 power running backs does, but if I'm still the Giants, I'm still in the market for a running back when the draft comes around.
Really?
As for free agents, you got one of the best right now.
Oh my!
I didn't even know he was a free agent actually.
Yeah,
Rashad Jennings.
Rashad Jennings.
I was thinking Sean Moreno was going to be on the radar, but I think Moreno's going back to Denver now. But I think that Rashad Jennings was very, very good.
Any news on MJD today? I didn't see anything on Twitter or anything regarding us.
Nothing on MJD.
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
I mean, there obviously were some big signings as we mentioned earlier in the show. Michael Johnson, worst contract I thought.
Really?
Given.
Why is that?
He signed a 5-year, $43 million deal. Unless maybe Lovie Smith can turn around. He had 3 sacks last year. Mm-hmm. 3 sacks does not deserve you $8 million a year.
And this is true.
I mean, good player, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's worth that contract. If you're going to give $8 million, you give it a guy like Michael Bennett in Seattle.
Now, yeah, the Eagles made a switch at safety. They dropped veteran Patrick Chung, former New England Patriot, and they signed Saints safety Malcolm Jenkins to a 3-year deal. I think it's a good pickup. I think as a Patriot fan, I think Patrick Chung has a good chance to wind up back in New England.
You think so?
I think so.
He's more. Well, he's not a good cover guy.
No,
he's always been a really hard hitter though, really aggressive.
Exactly, and we could use that. And I think he knows the Patriot system. So I think I wouldn't be surprised to see him back in a Patriots uniform. In my mind, I wouldn't be.
I don't think that it would be surprising me if he goes to any of the AFC East teams, maybe, because they all need safety help right now. Mm-hmm. A lot of teams need safety help. So coincidentally, I'm trying to think of other teams. Maybe I could even see him. I can probably see him maybe going to a team like the Redskins, who need safety help as well. Patrick Chung. So, but I think the safety, another safety who we have yet to talk about is number one on a lot of people's big was Jarris Bird.
Yeah, he hasn't signed anywhere yet. Interest.
He's got through the roof, the interest in him.
According to NFL.com, the main teams interested are St. Louis, Washington, New Orleans, and Cleveland. And according to Ian Rapport, he's visiting New Orleans for his first trip.
He is. That would be a huge for the New Orleans Saints.
I agreed. But imagine, hypothetically, if St. Louis got him for the secondary along with their great pass rush and defensive line.
I was thinking St. Louis because St. Louis, all I've been hearing about St. Louis is what they want to do in the draft is take it. They lost Roger Saffold, but Jamal Barksdale I think was fine anyway. Like I said, if I were the Rams, I would trade down a position where they could take Sammy Watkins.
Yeah.
I don't think they need a tackle if Jamal Barksdale could play the way he played last year, but I was thinking they were going to take Clinton Dix like at 13, no doubt about it. But if they sign Jarris Bird, that'd be huge. Robert Quinn and Chris Long are, I think, on the maybe the best 1-2 pass rushing combination defensive ends in the NFL. Robert Quinn has turned out to be a great pick for them. So I think the Rams, if they make it, that'd be a great sign. But I think it would be bigger for New Orleans, though.
I agree. New Orleans. And speaking of New Orleans, Darren Sproles, what's going to happen to him? He was going to be released. Now they're going to keep him.
Now they're saying they're not releasing him. They're trying to trade him.
Yeah. And let me tell you this.
I don't see that make sense, though.
I think that Patriots, if you're going to make one trade this offseason, get Darren Sproles. Imagine Darren Sproles, basically another Danny Woodhead.
He would be your pass catcher, best pass catcher.
Except he'd be more productive than Danny Woodhead because he's had a better career than Danny Woodhead. He's not as good as a blocker as Danny, but still, imagine Darren Sproles being in that Kevin Falk role on every third down, being there for Tom Brady as an outlet receiver. I think that'd be unbelievable.
I don't think you should have even let Danny Woodhead go in the first
I agree. I love Danny Woodhead. He
had a very good year with San Diego last year.
I still love Danny Woodhead, but I also would love Darren Sproles to be on the New England Patriots.
I don't see him. I really don't see him leaving New Orleans, though. I think he's just too good of a fit with Drew Brees in that system, honestly. But
I really think I don't think he's going to stay, really, at all. I really don't.
As weird as it is, if New Orleans does sign Jarris Bird, I mean, they got a good secondary then with Keenan and Lewis was a great pickup for them. When they took him from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think for some reason they would go offense in the draft, as odd as that sounds for them. I think maybe they may use another receiver.
Who?
New Orleans.
Oh, yeah, New Orleans?
Marcus Colston.
Well, Lance Moore got dropped, didn't he?
I haven't heard about that, but Marcus Colston did not have a touchdown. I mean, I think he maybe had one touchdown.
Yeah, he did not have a good year at all.
I mean, they have Jimmy Graham, obviously, but I think that they could use another wide receiver, actually.
I think that they have faith in Drew Brees to make do out of whatever they have because he's that good. I think they're going to go defense first round. I think I'm pretty confident in that.
Right.
Because Drew Brees, he can make anyone good around him. He's that good of a quarterback.
This is true. This is very true. Is Tracy Porter, is he on the Saints again? I don't know.
We'll have to look that one up. I'm not sure to be exactly. Also, Ahmad Bradshaw, staying with the Indianapolis Colts.
Good for him. Tracy Porter visited the Saints, actually. He was on the Broncos last year. I remember he did sign with the Broncos, and then now he is visiting the Saints. So,
Also, it was reported by NFL Network that Carolina is a likely landing spot for Giants free agent wideout Hakeem Nicks.
Likely. I can see. He's from the area. They need help opposite Steve Smith. I mean, I've always kind of liked Brandon LaFell. I think he's never maybe gotten a fair shot, but... Because Cam Newton really has Steve Smith to throw to and Greg Olsen. I think LaFell can be a good player, but I think it makes a lot of sense.
I think so, too. I mean, now Carolina was shopping Steve Smith. It was reported that they were looking to trade him.
Yes.
So, I mean...
He's up there in age, but Steve Smith can play. He can still play.
He's a competitor. That's the thing. When he goes out there, he was not afraid to get in someone's face and to do whatever you need to do to win.
Him and Aqib Talib on the Monday night game last year were going
at it.
That was
great.
Going at it.
That was great. Granted, Steve Smith got the last laugh, but that was a phenomenal one-on-one battle.
I think with the Panthers, you have to improve your offense. The defense is phenomenal. Great defense.
Luke Kuechly.
It's not just Luke Kuechly. Greg Hardy, though. Charles Johnson. Star Latulele.
No, they do have a very, very good defense. They have.
They did just lose Mike Mitchell, but
they're going to need to improve next year because Atlanta's not going to be as bad as they were last year. And they made 3 signings today, shoring up that defensive line. I think they
got Paul Salai from Miami. They signed John Ansel, I told you, the guard.
Yep.
And they signed Tyson Jackson from the Chiefs.
Also, they signed a 3-year extension with defensive tackle Jonathan Babineau, who I think is a very good player as well.
Babineau's a very, very good defensive tackle. I mean, speaking of defensive tackles, one who went off the market was Linval Joseph. a defensive tackle for my Giants.
Mm-hmm.
He got a nice contract from the Minnesota Vikings. I saw it coming, though. That is why we drafted Jonathan Hankins from Ohio State last year, though. So he was really drafted to replace Linval Joseph, kind of like when the Giants drafted Linval Joseph to replace Barry Cofield.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, is it a tough loss? Yes, but I think that we'll get over. Honestly, I think Hankins will be a good player, kind of like we did with Cofield. But there's the big names are still out there, though.
Yeah, they are.
With this free agency, I mean, definitely a lot of signings, but a lot of them were small signings. As I said, I think the biggest one was T.J. Ward.
All right. Well, let's take a short break here, and then maybe do a little bit of prediction as where these other big agents will wind up, as to what team will wind up. So we'll take a short break here on WICR. This is the BS Report with John Stanko and Kevin Bartnett.